Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to this press conference with Commissioner Stylianides, a press conference on rescEU, the new reinforced European Civil Protection Mechanism. Before giving the floor to the Commissioner, let me remind you that we will also have a technical briefing at 3:30 at the ERCC, at the Emergency Response Coordination Center, or the emergency room in ECO premises in Rue de la Loi 86, and you are invited to attend also this technical briefing. So without further ado, I give the floor to Commissioner Stylianides.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dear friends, rescEU has entered into force. The new legislation strengthening the European Union civil protection. So rescEU is now a reality. Now we have the piece that completes the puzzle. The European system of disaster response is now stronger, more efficient, and more effective. Fit for purpose for today's new climate change reality. rescEU is a safety net that will be activated when national capacities and national resources are overwhelmed. Dear friends, today rescEU goes into action. I'm pleased to announce that we are launching an initial European firefighting aircraft fleet, the first of its kind, ready for this year's fire season. We are delivering on our commitment to upgrade the European civil protection system, to be better prepared, to be better equipped, and to tackle the intensity and the complexity of today's natural disasters field. We've seen forest fires rage across Europe from north to south, from east to west. Fires do not respect borders. And this is why our member states joined forces and made rescEU a reality. And this is why our member states are coming together to implement rescEU. Today, we make the first step, the first big step. We begin with our rescEU initial transition fleet, and as we build up rescEU, more assets will follow. The rescEU initial assets come on top of the existing structure of the civil protection mechanism. I would like to say a special thank you to Croatia, France, Italy, Spain, and Sweden, the first 5 member states to contribute to this rescEU initial transition fleet. Their action definitely is an example of tangible European solidarity. This is a good way to be an engaged member of our European family. Dear friends, you know well that prevention and preparedness is key to an effective response to natural disasters. Prevention is always better than cure. It is a universal proverb. So our preparedness efforts are not limited to the rescEU initial transition field. We are also reinforcing our monitoring and coordinating capacities in 5 important ways. First, our Emergency Response Coordination Center, ERCC, working 24/7, has been reinforced with experts from our member states, the Forest Fire Support Team. As Carlos already said, you will have a chance to visit the ERCC Center in the afternoon, and I'm sure that our experts there, they can answer any technical questions by you. Second point, the ERCC is stepping up its coordination role. The ERCC is strengthening risk assessment with participating states, especially during the busy fire season. Third point, we will continue providing satellite maps through our state-of-the-art Copernicus satellite system to help prevent, monitor, and respond to forest fires, and of course, to other natural disasters. Fourth point, we have supported regular field exercises and training for experts and rescue teams, especially in dealing with forest fires, a key component for an effective response to natural disasters. And fifth, last but not least, we bolster collaboration and share best practices between member states as part of the newly created Knowledge Center. Dear friends, rescEU is founded on three fundamental European values: solidarity, protecting European citizens, and saving lives. rescEU will foster greater cooperation and solidarity between our member states, and by doing so, we are also strengthening European integration. So, European citizens want, European citizens deserve real solutions to real problems. They want concrete results, and rescEU delivers this. And also, rescEU responds to the expectation of our European citizens, of Europeans, and will have a direct, a positive impact on their lives. Dear friends, we are just a few days before the critical European elections. I strongly believe rescEU sends a clear message to all Europeans. Solidarity is not an empty word. It's tangible, touching real lives in our everyday lives. And Europe is taking action, concrete action to protect our citizens and to save lives. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now we can open the floor for your questions. So, yes, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ana Pisonero from the Spanish news agency Europa Press. So this initial fleet is for tackling forest fires, but I don't know if you could give us a bit more the next steps, how it will be reinforced to tackle other natural disasters. I understand the reserve was supposed to also include things like a field hospital campaign and others. What are the timeframes that we're looking at? My second question would be if you could precise that the co-financing rate, what's the co-financing rate that will be for transport and for the use of this equipment? And a third question, if I may, concerning prevention. You've mentioned how important it is not only to tackle the disasters when they happen, but also to prepare in advance. The cuts because of the crisis in many member states, I understand that Spain was one of the main problems as well, were reduced. So the whole part of the preventive arm to tackle these things was very heavily affected. I don't know how you see, I mean, will this do anything if we don't actually reinforce the other part? And sorry, just a quick question. With the initial fleet, how many fires do you think you could tackle simultaneously at the same time? Thank you. Sorry for the long.
Thank you for your questions. And first of all, I would like to emphasize once again that prevention is one of the two main pillars of rescEU. It's really equal pillar as equipment. And this is why I focus on this, that prevention is better than cure. And without strong prevention and preparedness, no equipment is enough. This is my strong and clear message to our member state. And this is why I strongly believe that we have to focus on prevention and preparedness. And through rescEU, we are strengthening prevention and preparedness in three main ways: funding, cultural prevention, and knowledge network. Funding. Definitely, we strongly support our member states to improve their prevention and preparedness even through rescEU funding. At the same time, you know that European structural funds are connected and also support prevention, and of course, together with innovation and research funds. For example, warning systems, drones, etc., etc. And at the same time, through rescEU, we have to focus on culture of prevention. We have to focus to see more volunteers, more first responders on the ground in our member states. So through rescEU, we can build a culture of prevention, and we can allocate money in order to see more volunteers organization. Of course, as I said, we can see together with our member state how we can improve ourselves about early warning system, education, of course, and training and exercise on the ground with experts, and of course, as I said, first responders. And third point, knowledge network. Prevention and preparedness, and for all member states, Spain, France, Greece, Cyprus, Sweden, prevention and preparedness require common understanding, require shared knowledge and expertise. We need better communication network, and we need to share innovative techniques and best practices across Europe. I was in Sweden 2 days ago, and I saw once again that the Swedish authorities, they realize after their painful experience last summer that only through European solidarity, tangible European solidarity, they can deal with these new phenomena due to climate change. So we need each other. And we realize that we are in the same boat, especially in the natural disasters field. This is why we need to be together. Togetherness is not an empty word. It's something very concrete, especially when we have to deal with natural disasters due to climate change. I forgot something?
Yeah. The other questions on the initial fleet capacity and
Yes.
the time frame.
Look, as I said, Croatia, France, Italy, Spain, and Sweden, they already decided to contribute in this initial transition, initial fleet. I strongly believe that with this transition capacity, we can deal with all forest fires across Europe, even simultaneously. Our experts, they believe that it is enough. And of course, as I said, because through rescEU, we can increase our coordinating role at the ERCC level. We can decide decisively when we face simultaneously at this critical time in order to deploy resources, in order to send and deliver planes and helicopters in the area which are affected by forest fires. So I think definitely through rescEU, even through this initial transition field, we can feel safer in order to deal with forest fires in the next summer.
Thank you. Any other question? Athanasios?
Athanasios with CNA, Cyprus News Agency. Can I ask you in Greek, if I may? Sure. Yeah, because we have the interpretation, so it's a chance to speak Greek. So, Επίτροπε...
Commissioner, what do you think is the significance of rescEU for countries such as Cyprus with those characteristics? And what could Cyprus add to the mechanism? What could we contribute? And the same, of course, question would apply to Greece.
To answer in my mother tongue, to communicate with my compatriots. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thank you so much for the question. It is true that Cyprus is in a very special place when it comes to EU borders. It's in the Eastern Mediterranean. And even in this area of dealing with natural disasters, the role of rescEU, well, that's an area in which Cyprus can still contribute to European solidarity with other countries on the southern and southeastern borders of the EU. I know that the authorities in Cyprus are seriously considering the option of participating even in the transitional phase of rescEU, perhaps by contributing a helicopter or something like that. In June, the procedures may be stepped up so as to strengthen the transition fleet already established. And I strongly believe that Cyprus should participate, must participate, for reasons that relate to its own needs and its own capacity to deal with fires. My compatriots will all be very aware that some years ago, and because of help from French and Italian planes, we were able to deal with a catastrophic fire on the island. So painful experience has shown that aid is required, that you need help to deal with these situations, which are beyond national capacity to deal with. But that national capacity can also be lent elsewhere. So Cyprus can be a bridge, if you like, even in this very difficult, tricky area. So with Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Egypt, those countries, due to climate change, have demonstrably great needs as well, also sometimes in relation to flooding. So I believe Cyprus should participate in this exercise, certainly from the transitional phase and moving forward. It's very important for Cyprus as well as for Europe more broadly. And I am sure that this is an opportunity for Cyprus to show, to prove that it is a member of the European family that gives as well as taking. And of course, there will be a lot of subsidies available. As you are aware, rescEU, for its permanent phase, will be funding 50% of new operational measures and 75% of contribution to.
If yes, how many?
Thank you so much for this question, because I would like to clarify these things about the economic cost of rescEU. First of all, as we clarified with all our statements from the beginning of this attempt to persuade our member state to accept rescEU as the new structure, we clarified this. No more bureaucracy. No more bureaucracy. Only experts from our member states. The previous structure had only this new equipment, new structure, and the current Commission proposed for the next MFF 2021-2027 1.4 billion for the whole cost of rescEU in the next MFF. So this is the specific numbers and figures about the cost of rescEU. But I take this opportunity to say a few words about my approach regarding rescue and as a definition of the cost-effective way in order to deal with natural disasters. rescEU makes economic sense. And give me the chance to mention three major reasons why. By definition, rescEU is an insurance policy. And protection against natural disasters is extremely expensive for any single country. So it's an insurance policy. Second point, rescEU, also by definition, is a risk-sharing scheme. More countries that participate, greater benefit for all of us. And I think the last example in Sweden last summer, really very developed country with assets, but could not face forest fires alone. And in my visit in Sweden, all Swedish authorities, they recognize that, yes, the European solidarity, the tangible solidarity, is more than necessary even for Sweden. And at the same time, I have to say my third point, very important for me. rescEU is an example of economy of scale. It's a definition of economy of scale, because you can understand that it is a comparative advantage, it is EU added value, because we can provide better protection for less money, and definitely through our structure, European Union manage a reserve pool of resources in order to spend less country by country. If we decide to make a comparison and to think about necessary resources when we face simultaneously forest fires across Europe, maybe we need a lot of planes, a lot of helicopters, multiple. If we go through the way of rescEU, definitely we need less. And this is a special benefit for our taxpayers. So it is economy of scale. It is the European Union added value, and I strongly believe that it's so obvious for anyone to understand this. And I know well that many of our member states, they already made feasibility studies, and all of them, they agreed on this. rescEU, it is economy of scale for all of us. And this is why we had this overwhelming majority at the European Parliament and also at the European Council.
Yes, one question there.
Eleni Varoutiotou from Καθημερινή. Commissioner, would you be kind enough to walk us through the steps? Let's say there is a fire in Greece. What are the main steps that should be taken from Greece or from any other state, and how would it work out?
And because I forgot to answer to Thanasis about Greece, now I take this opportunity through your question in order to say more about Greece. Yes, maybe it's better, yes. Δεν υπάρχει αμφιβολία.
There is no doubt that the events in Mati showed quite clearly that prevention is of the essence. Climate change has brought new phenomena which clearly have catastrophic effects in very short spaces of time, and the events in Mati were a case in point. In Greece, in particular, there has to be maximum utilization of rescue. And there has to be a particular stress on prevention and readiness. Everyone, I think, recognizes that on all sides of the political spectrum. At the same time, I would say it's also clearly in the interests of a country as susceptible as Greece to this type of natural catastrophe to participate actively, certainly in the permanent phase of rescue, but also now during the transition phase so that it can access European funding and also put across the message that, yes, despite our problems, we are able to contribute to EU action and help us to deal with our common needs and combating, in the context of combating natural disasters.
The press conference reminding you, sorry, can I just follow up?
Yeah, I got one more in Greece because we need to be very specific with this thing. Greece is a country that has severe danger for wildfires. Every summer, they know it for decades and decades. And last year, we had the tragic events in Attica and Mati. So, do you think, did you observe any improvement in their prevention culture since last year to begin with? And do you think that they do have an effective prevention culture in Greece concerning forest fires for the summer? Because from my experience, and I don't know about the south of Greece, but I know about my place, it's Chalkidiki, there in the north. We had a fire in 2006. Nothing changed, nothing much changed. What is burned, and the rest of the forest is quite unprotected. So how can we pressure them to change their mentality and switch to prevention and be more proactive? They used to have those, civilian planes monitoring the forest. They don't have it now. What can we do?
I will continue in Greek because the question is about Greece, and I would like to answer in Greek language in order to be communicated with Greek people and Greek media. Σε όλες μου τις επισκέψεις στην
In all my visits to Greece, in all my meetings with ministers or even the President of the Republic, I bring up the matter of forest fire prevention and the development of volunteer work and other measures which would be the most effective in the Greek context. I know that there are efforts underway. Our experts at the ERCC are in ongoing contact with their counterparts in Greece. They provide advice and know-how. They try to help in every possible way to improve prevention and readiness. And there is obviously the opportunity for operational means from Greece to be incorporated into the rescEU, but you will be aware that there is a limit to what the Commission can do. We are limited to contact with the member states and encouraging them to improve prevention. The responsibility, however, does lie first and foremost with the member states themselves. That means that we have to continue voicing that message loud and clear about prevention. I can't tell you exactly here and now what has been done in Greece, but perhaps when you go to the ERCC at 3 o'clock, the experts will be able to give you more concrete answers. But it's extremely important that we continue the efforts and get as many member states on board as possible with rescEU. And of course, rescEU itself will be able to provide funding for specific measures. So Greece and other member states can rely on the Commission, and they can rely on the ERCC, the Coordination Centre, in the context of their action to improve their readiness. And whenever anything happens and whenever requests are lodged, we'll be there the same day. We couldn't, of course, save anyone in Mati because it all happened in the space of 2 to 3 hours. But even with the previous system, we were able to help to put out fires in the Peloponnese and other parts of Greece with the prior mechanism. Now the authorities know that they do have to improve their record when it comes to prevention.
Thank you. We can end here. And as Commissioner just said, you will have the opportunity to meet our experts at 3:30 at the ERCC, the Emergency Response Coordination Center, Rue de la Loi 86. And we will follow now with midday briefing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.